Good evening, Rob.
I don't need to do that again. Sorry.
We're leaving that in. What a brilliant start. This is why we don't have an intro, because we just cock it up every time. Good evening, Rob.
Hello. How's it going?
All right. Well, that's episode 74 done. See you next week. We're in the rhythm now. We've done this for 2 weeks in a row. Well, no, that's not right, is it? 2 times in a row over 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, I think we've still entirely forgotten how to do this. After was it like 6 weeks? It was a 6-week gap.
It was a long break, wasn't it?
I know, it's like we've just never done it before.
It's always like that, to be fair. So, and I've got a beer this time as well, so anything could happen. It does look really. Does it look green to you? It's not green, I promise.
It does look green, yeah.
It looks as green as your green screen. I appreciate people can't see this on the actual podcast, but your green screen looks the same colour as my bit. It isn't. I hope it's not green. They have been in the fridge for a while. They smell all right. No, that's fine. I'll see what happens tomorrow morning. Anyway, how are you?
Yeah, I'm surprisingly all right. So I've been all right for 2 episodes in a row, which is unheard of.
Yeah, I feel okay as well. I don't think either of us are that ill, are we? That's is it a first?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a bank holiday weekend coming up, and it's half term for the kids, and we're going away next week. So, yeah, I don't want to jinx it, but yeah.
Fingers crossed.
I need to try and stay well for that.
I reckon you can. What have we got to talk about?
Well, why you've got a beer, the beer requirement this evening in particular.
It's been an interesting 48 hours, I guess. So you thought I'd be in Manchester, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't think we'd be doing this.
I was in Manchester. I was in Manchester yesterday, so I was invited to Arden University in Manchester, which that they were opening a new tech centre or something. And I got an invite to this ages ago. It was like they must have thrown out like invites to all and sundry, press and YouTubers and all sorts. And I didn't say yes for ages. And then the idea came up to combine it with a video that we needed to shoot. And the video is this. I don't want to give away too much because it hasn't been published yet, and I mean it's not Hollywood. It's not that exciting, but I want to keep some of it, for the actual video. But the idea being that I've got at the moment I've got this very expensive BMW i5 M60, which they gave me for a week to do something with, and we didn't know what to do with it. And then we thought, hang on a minute, we could combine this with a bit of a road trip. Combine it with this university thing, because Arden University won't be listening to this. It would have been an absolute waste of my time just to go to Manchester for that. They don't need me there, really. It was just a token invite. But if I could combine it with this car video and then do some other stuff and go somewhere else afterwards, it made sense. So that's what we did. So we've planned this. We had planned this trip where I'd go to Manchester in the car and then go from Manchester to somewhere else and then come back today. And the whole premise of this video, again, without giving too much away, is about battery convenience. So if you go away with a few very expensive things, which one of those things is the most annoying to keep charged? Could be an interesting video, could be terrible, who knows? But that was the idea, and that's the reason I was briefly in Manchester yesterday. And it was briefly because I got there and it was pouring down with it. So this is where it all starts. It was pouring down with rain. I don't know if it was for you. Was it for you yesterday? All day,
quite
basically.
Nice here yesterday.
Oh, was it? I'm happy for you. But it was pouring down in Leamington and in Manchester. I think it normally rains in Manchester, doesn't it? Constantly. So I got there, got soaked, having parked the car somewhere and had to walk to the university. Got to this place. Lovely building, lovely uni kind of building in the middle of Manchester. And
Mrs. Rob did her degree in Manchester.
Did she? At Arden, was it? Or
no, not at Arden, to be fair. No. But yeah,
it's very nice. I love Manchester. It was a lovely place. But it's one of those things where I got there and then realised very quickly that I didn't really need to be there. bless them, because they had it was a very busy room, and they had these like big balloons and a big ribbon that was going to be cut to open this new tech centre, and they were supposed to do these kind of walkarounds or tours of this new thing, and that didn't really happen. People they did a little speech and cut the ribbon, and then it just kind of petered out a bit, and people kept started chatting to each other and drinking free free drinks and eating free cakes. And I just sort of stood there and thought, I don't know what I'm doing here. So I just left. I went. Yeah, but again, if anyone from Arden University is listening, no offence whatsoever. I just didn't see the point in being there. So I left and I went on to my next destination, which was a shepherd's hut in the middle of the Peak District. Okay. I keep forgetting to look at the lens on this podcast. I went to stay in a shepherd's hut in the middle of nowhere in the Peak District, which I hadn't booked. It was booked by the team. They told me a couple of things, but not much. The idea being, again, that it's in the wilderness, which makes turning up with a 115 grand EV slightly amusing and slightly, there's a bit of jeopardy there as well. No internet connection, no phone connection, nothing. Stay there for a night and then come back today. And on the way back today, use one of the other expensive battery-powered things that I'd stuffed very carefully into the boot of this BMW. It's a bike, basically, and do some riding around the Peak District with it. Most of that didn't happen because it didn't stop raining at all until I was on the M6 heading back home because I got fed up because I couldn't do anything. The weather, honestly, Rob, was just atrocious, and it was such a shame because the location was lovely. This little hut, again, without giving too much away because it will be in the video, lovely little kind of it's built really for, I think, a romantic night away with your loved one, not some guy turning up in a BMW with an iPad and a camera. That's a bit weird. But if you were going away for a weekend to get away from everything, this was a lovely location. But there was just rain, wind, fog. It was like a February evening rather than like a late May evening. It was just horrendous. And I woke up this morning thinking it might be better, but I woke up to the whole hut kind of shaking left and right and being blown around by the wind, and just looked out and thought, one, I can't fly the drone, obviously. Two, I don't want to get on the bike. Three, I'm just going back to the studio. And I finished the rest of the video in the studio, ironically. So that's where I've been. That's what I've been doing.
Is that going to be a good video? It's not going to be as good as it was meant to be.
There's method in my madness because I'm not editing it.
Okay.
That beer just tastes a bit strange. Niall Niall is editing it. It's his first edit of a full Marketplace Reviews video, and boy, have I given him a challenge to begin with. I think we can make something out of it. I've turned it into a bit of a story. Obviously, there was no choice really, and it was a kind of vlog style thing. So, unfortunately, we had shot a whole bunch of B-roll of the car and the bike on Monday when it was nice and sunny. Which does present a bit of a continuity issue, but we have at least got decent footage of both of those things that we can use.
With a special guest.
Yeah, on Monday?
Yeah.
So you've seen the vlog?
Yeah.
We did. We had Niall. He appeared.
Well, actually, no, two special guests, in fact.
There were three, technically, but yeah.
Technically, yeah. Well, anyway, we'll look out for that. That should be good.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing. That was my long-winded explanation of the last 2 days. So I'm just a little bit I didn't sleep very well last night because of all the rocking and rain and horrible wind and stuff. But so I'm a little bit tired. Feel okay, but I'm just a bit tired and a bit annoyed that the weather didn't play ball. But that's Mother Nature. You can't do anything about it, can you?
So you've also been on a bit of a jolly to Germany.
Yeah, I went to Germany, didn't I, for Panasonic. Was that last week? It was last week, wasn't it? Yeah, that was good. I went to Dusseldorf. Have you been there before?
No.
We've
got an office. The company I work for got an office in Frankfurt. I've been to Frankfurt.
Nice. I'm a fan of Germany. I like these German cities. They're very nice. And Dusseldorf's got this lovely kind of canal that runs through the middle of it, and a big line of trees. And it's just a lovely place to to spend a few hours. Didn't have that long as always. It was kind of being shipped in, shown Panasonic's new TVs. Had a couple of hours free, which was quite nice. A few beers and things in the evening, and then back home the next day. So it was very much a flying visit, literally. But it was good.
I recall, I can't remember where you posted it on one of your social medias, a photo of you standing in front of an enormous television. That wasn't a Panasonic, was it? That was a TCL or something, wasn't it?
That was TCL, yeah. That was their 115-inch TV, which is, I think, the biggest one you can get in the UK. That was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? Yeah, that was ridiculous. 25 grand, that TV is. If you fancy having a big TV.
I think once you get into that sort of size, you're better off with a projector, aren't you?
I think so. I mean, it looked very good, and it should do for that much money. But funnily enough, we're getting the 98-inch, their entry-level 98-inch TVs coming to this studio quite soon. That'll be interesting. No idea where we're going to put it, but yeah, even that is big, isn't it? That's a big TV.
Did you bump into anyone you know at the Panasonic event?
Who did I see there? Yeah, a few press guys. Vincent, do you know I can't even remember his second name. The classic TV reviewer. Let me get his name up before I get it wrong. He's a lovely guy. HD TV Test. That's his channel, I think, isn't it? Yeah, HD TV Test. Have you heard of him?
Hold on. I lost connectivity for a moment there.
Oh, did you?
Vincent Teo.
Vincent Teo, that's his surname. Yeah, I get on really well with him. I keep meeting him randomly at these events, and he's exactly as you would expect. Slightly bonkers in a really good way,
isn't he?
He's very funny.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Very approachable, very very nice bloke. Very good at what he does, obviously, because he's a proper TV reviewer.
Yeah, I don't know. Are Panasonic TVs still relevant? So, I mean, they were all the rage when their plasma was king, but I can't remember the last time I thought about buying anything from Panasonic.
I think that's the challenge, isn't it? We've had this discussion
before.
I
bought a bread maker. I've got one of their bread makers. It's very good.
Is it better than a TV?
It's better than a TV at making bread.
More useful, actually, because bread's really nice. Who doesn't like bread? Can't eat a TV, can you? Well, you could, I suppose. But, yeah, I mean, their TVs they're very good, and that they use. I think that their big play is two things. One of them is their link with Hollywood. So a lot of Hollywood colorists use Panasonic TVs for referencing for that side of the mastering process, and they've got this. Their game, what's it called? Game Pro mode, which is they've got a link with Diablo, Activision Blizzard, and those were the two things they were pushing. And to be fair, they were the two things they were pushing last year as well. I don't envy TV companies, brands really. I think it's these panels every year they get slightly better, don't they? They'll put them side by side, and you literally have to go up to it and see which one's brighter and which one has less banding and all that sort of stuff. So they have to have other things that set them apart. And those things are becoming harder to find, I think. Fire TV was the other thing. The fact they've got Fire TV built into their I think it's just the top-end TVs at the moment. Again, is that a selling point? I don't know. Wouldn't be for me personally.
No. Well, and everything's been obsoleted since tandem OLED was burst onto the scene in the new iPads.
It's all about the tandem OLED, isn't it? Does that bring us on to the iPad Pro?
I think it does, yeah. So, what's the verdict? Is it any good?
Here it is. Let me turn it around. It's very, very thin. Again, this is another reason that you should subscribe to the YouTube channel of 8 or 16 so you can see this stuff. It's very hard to get across the thinness, obviously, particularly on this camera, because it keeps focusing on my eyes. But it's not going to work. It's incredibly thin. I think, like you've mentioned, it's the Apple Pencil Pro is thicker than the actual iPad itself, which is a bit weird.
Most USB cables are thicker than the iPad itself. So, I'm a dickhead.
Oh, right, okay. You bought one?
I went and got one, didn't I? Yeah, I don't know why I did this. But I've noticed that... so here's my trusty nothing cable, which is still the coolest of all the cables that come with stuff. Because, I mean, I don't know if you've seen. So you got a silver one. You would have got a white Apple braided cable. I went for the old Space Black, which comes with a colour matched braided cable. It is
Nice.
not even close to the quality of the Nothing cable. However,
Nothing is.
So anyway,
Literally.
what I was saying was, the Nothing, the bit that you hold on to on the Nothing cable is thicker than the iPad itself, which is nuts.
It is crazy. What do you think it's? Does it need to be that thin? Does it matter?
It doesn't, but I'm really glad that it is. So I sort of scoffed at the, oh great, it's just a thinner is better release, but it really is. There's something quite profound about picking up something that is. This is now the most powerful computer in my house by
Which is
some
ridiculous.
margin, and it's the thickness of a £1 coin. But that's
Crazy,
not
isn't
it? It's two £2 coins technically, but yeah, no, just that the thinness. It shouldn't be a feature, but it really is. It's so. I audibly gasped when I first got it out of the box. I was like, okay, that's pretty thin. And this is coming from someone that was already running a Magic V2, which is like 4.5 millimeters. The foldy phone when it's unfolded. That was one of the things that I enjoyed most about that device was the fact that it was so unfeasibly thin. And yeah, you get that same joy out of the 13-inch iPad Pro.
Yeah, it's what's interesting as well. Have you bought the Magic Keyboard? Yeah, you have, haven't you?
Of course I have, yeah. So we've got the old Magic Keyboard there.
What I find really interesting with this, it is lovely. It's one of my favourite parts of it, actually. What I did find interesting, it's taken me till about today to realise this, is that obviously the aluminium palm rest that's on there now, it's thinner than if you look at it side on, it's thinner than the iPad Pro, which is good, but it's a totally different design to the previous generation, which didn't have the aluminium frame on it as well. It's quite hard to explain, but it's almost as though you've got two iPads in there if you look at it side on, one very thin one and one thin one, but obviously one of those slithers of aluminium is actually the keyboard, so it looks very different actually compared to the previous gen, which I've got somewhere.
I find it harder to open than the previous Magic Keyboard and iPad combination, because it's so finely machined that there is not really a discernible gap for your thumb to sort of go and prise open. So it's a two-handed job to open it, I find.
Yeah. What about the Apple Pencil Pro? Have you got one of those as well?
Yeah, we got one of those as well. Because I mean, if you're going to do it, you've got to go all.
This is how they get you. They know what they're doing, Apple, don't they? What do you think about the Apple Pencil Pro?
It's the best Apple Pencil they've ever made, isn't it?
What do you think about the haptic clicky thing, the squeezy function?
That is witchcraft. That's
it is, isn't
it?
That's the thing that surprised me more than the thinness of the iPad. Can't stop doing it.
Yeah. So so we've had haptic touchpads and whatever for ages, but yeah, to pull off that level of, the illusion of something clicking in something that's as tiny as an Apple Pencil, quite impressive. It's a good click. It's not. You'd be forgiven for thinking that it wouldn't be up there with other haptic feedback that we've seen on other Apple devices, but it totally is in something that's just tiny.
It just feels amazing. Honestly, I can't get over that haptic thing. I know we've had it for a long time on the trackpads on the MacBook, haven't we? And now the Magic Keyboard, but I think this is even more impressive than that, really. It's just nuts.
Yeah, well, actually, my favourite thing about the pencil is the fake shadows. Have you seen the fake shadows?
Is this where you can, if you hover over and you see a fake shadow of the pencil itself?
Well, not just the pencil itself, but so if you've chosen another writing implement, like a fountain pen, for example, and then using the new sort of barrel roll capability where it knows how you're holding the pen, the shadow the fake shadow on the display moves as you're turning the pen. Someone's gone into the the gubbins and extracted the 3D models that they have used to so what's happening in the background is that although it's not shown on the screen, in order to generate those realistic shadows, they've gone to the trouble of building 3D models of each writing implement. So there are like 217,000 polygons worth of pen models in the back end that you never see, just to cast a realistic shadow.
That's crazy.
So do you not notice that, or you haven't seen the videos about it?
I'd noticed the shadow, but I hadn't noticed how accurate it was, or how it turns as well. I didn't know that at all. I can see it now.
It's ridiculous. It's so unnecessary, but it's brilliant.
Totally pointless, yeah. Massively pointless, but who cares? Wow. So I think, is the conclusion then that actually the kind of the heroes of this release for the iPad Pro is the Magic Keyboard and the Apple Pencil Pro? It's kind of where I'm going. It's not the OLED. The OLED display looks the same as the previous one. There's a slight difference, I think, but you do have to A/B it.
No, I think the thinness is the standout feature. That's the thing that really... I mean, the pencil is cool. The Magic Keyboard is better in every way than the previous keyboard. But that experience of when I first picked that thing up out of the box, that's what you pay your money for, I think. But yeah, in all other respects, it's just an iPad. It's a very nice iPad, but it's just an iPad.
Just an iPad. What more can we say about it? The M4 chip. What do you want from Apple on this in terms of how they can unleash it?
Well, I mean, if they can make a device as thin and powerful as the iPad Pro with this M4 chip and still maintain all-day battery life, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they cram it into next. So like a facelifted Apple TV. I mean, particularly as they're kind of moving into gaming and stuff now. I mean, it's baby steps at the moment. They're about, three big titles. You've got like Death Stranding, you've got the Assassin's Creed game and a Resident Evil game. But, hopefully more will follow if enough people buy them. Oh, did you ever try it? You got it for free, didn't you? Apple actually gave you a coupon, and you still haven't.
Don't tell them. I didn't get a chance to use it.
All right.
No, I didn't. I think it might still work. Who knows? But yeah, I didn't. I ran out of time, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I'm thinking. Well, in fact, already I don't know if you saw. So because of all the recent sort of having to open the App Store up and all this sort of stuff, that you can now get emulators in the App Store, which was not allowed previously. And there is an emulator that you can now run on your Apple TV and effectively turn your Apple TV into a retro gaming device. Quite a competent one by all accounts. I haven't tried it yet myself, and I forget which emulator it was. I'll put a link in the show notes. But yeah, if they if even some of that power and the new calls like your ray tracing and that sort of stuff that's in the M4 trickles down into the Apple TV, it's already a brilliant set-top box, but if they bring some of their newer stuff to it, and I imagine there will be an Apple TV update following not at WDC, but at some point after WWDC, because we're all expecting massive leaps in AI and that sort of stuff, and one would imagine that they would want to have that kind of capability in the living room as well. But really it's the facelifted Mac Mini, an M4 Mac Mini. Surely it's about time now they did away with the hilariously oversized chassis that's been around for decades that is just mostly air. I think that they clearly would be able to produce a spectacularly small and powerful desktop computer with the M4.
Yeah, everything has gone very quiet, hasn't it, on the Mac Mini front? Surely the next one's going to, assuming there will be a next one, it's going to be a significantly redesigned version, hopefully.
So
we will see.
What I haven't got is an Air. How does the Air compare, the iPad Air? You got the 13-inch one of that as well, didn't you?
Yeah, this is the purple one, which is very, very muted. It's very hard to show it here, but that's roughly what it looks like. It's very, as you would expect these days, it's not leery purple, which is a shame. I do think they should do orange, really purple, really green, really just, I don't know why they don't do it. They do it with the iMac. I don't get why they don't do it with this, but...
I did a nice purple iPhone one year, iPhone 12, that had a nice purple edition.
They did, didn't they? That was nice.
Oh, and they did a Pro in purple, which was not so nice.
It's always the Pro, isn't it, that seems to get the rough deal. But yeah, this is the iPad Air, the 13-inch. I think it's possibly the best iPad they've ever made because of the price, because of what you get for it. Does have a few caveats. Obviously, it's a 60 hertz display, which is getting a little bit harder to justify, I think, these days. When most smartphones, apart from the iPhone 15, high refresh rate. But that aside,
including
and
the
Face
recently announced Pixel 8a, even that's got a 120 hertz display, and that's like £499, is it? Talk a bit about that later.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is, I think, apart from those things, Face ID, obviously you get Touch ID rather than Face ID. It's so easy to recommend this. If you want a big iPad, just get this. Unless you really, really want a tandem OLED panel and a really, really thin iPad, it doesn't justify the £400. I think at the maximum, I think the 1 terabyte Air versus the 1 terabyte Pro, there's a £600 difference. Which, how do you justify that? I don't think you can, personally. The only problem with this one, and it is a bit of an issue, is the fact that it doesn't work with that new Magic Keyboard. It does work with the Apple Pencil Pro, which is good, but you have to use the previous generation Magic Keyboard. So you don't get the function key row, you don't get the big trackpad, you don't get that lovely aluminium palm rest. That is a shame, but they do have to differentiate it in fairness, don't they? And it's not as thin. That's obviously why it's not compatible.
Yeah, I did mull over whether or not I could make do with an iPad Air, and I decided no. If I'm gonna, I figured I haven't bought an iPad since 2018, which was the iPad Pro 12.9 inch. And I'm like, okay, we'll suck it up. We'll get up to date, and see what's changed in the 2 years or so I've not had an iPad.
Yeah,
the answer is not
looking
much.
Forward to your thoughts.
I think I've watched some YouTube videos on it, and that's about it so far. I mean, I think what the thing I use it for most is I'm really getting back into my music, not the creation of, but the playing of on real physical instruments. So I will probably use it as a digital sheet music device mostly in the short term, while I remember how to iPad, because I had a great time last time. It was my primary portable computing device, and I really pimped it out and did all kinds of fun things with it. So I'm looking forward to reminding myself what can be done with an iPad.
Well, I guess reading sheet music is really going to tax that M4, isn't it? Particularly the neural engine.
Yeah.
We'll see what they do. I mean, it's down to WWDC, isn't it? I don't think we should have our hopes too high. I think we've learned that on this podcast on multiple occasions, haven't we, after WWDC? But yeah, they need to do something, don't they? It needs to be... I'm not sure what they need to do. They just need to do something.
Yeah, brilliant device. I'm not at all unhappy that I've got the full set, and I can't see myself buying another one for a very long time. I wouldn't have thought, because I'd say even the pre-Apple Silicon, the pre-M chip iPads were plenty fast enough, and they're still fast enough. I think you can buy any iPad from the last 5 years, and you'll have a good time. They're still so far ahead of anything else out there, I think. That's what makes the M2 iPad Air so good, because it's basically last year's iPad Pro, isn't it? Really, apart from the display difference, the lack of Face ID. Yeah, it will run Logic Pro, for instance. I've tried this, side by side with the iPad Pro. It doesn't feel any different. It performs in the exact same way, and that's a really powerful app. And yeah, it's one hell of an iPad that is. Particularly the 13-inch Air. Has stem splitting available yet? Have you given that a go?
I have tried it, but I've only tried it. Yeah, well, only their demo though. To be fair, I need to try it myself with something else. But if you log into Logic Pro now, there's a bunch of demos for the new stuff. So you get a demo of what's that new FX thing called? Something Verb or something, whatever it was. They've got that, but they've also got a demo project for the stem splitting as well, and it's the exact one that they show you they showed on the keynote for it. Obviously, it works well with that particular file, but I look forward to loading something else into it and seeing how it deals with it.
Yeah,
is that all the iPad stuff?
Yeah, I think so. What's much more exciting, or was more exciting to me at least, is the release of the Sonos Ace headphones. We've got a new player in the headphone market.
We have.
How much are you allowed to say about this?
Nothing.
Okay. Well, I can. So
I may or may not be looking at. Who knows what could be in it. I can neither confirm nor deny that there's something in the studio. There may not be, but who knows.
Yeah, so they more than a passing nod in the direction of AirPods Max, aren't there? So if anyone who's been keeping an eye on this stuff would have seen what they look like. You've got that sort of metallic stem to change the width of the headband. That's very. I mean, it does. They apart from the fact that they're plastic rather than metal cups, they've got the magnetic foam replacement bits. I mean, they couldn't have made it look any more like AirPods Max if they tried, but they've been good enough to give it a not stupid case.
Yeah, the AirPods Max thing is, I think most people seem to have picked up on that, because I've put a few posts out about the time that I spent, because I went to see them in London about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we could reveal that we'd done that. It's been very interesting to see what the response has been to those posts, which are all we can do at the moment is, because there's a review embargo until a certain date. But we can repeat what Sonos has said in terms of the release, what they're all about and all that sort of stuff. But I'm more interested in what people have responded to in those posts that I've put up. And the AirPods Max thing comes up again and again and again. They look like AirPods Max. What do they sound like compared to AirPods Max? The other thing people keep talking about is the app. There's a lot of very disgruntled Sonos owners out there who aren't very happy about the app. And I kind of missed this, because I do use Sonos stuff daily here. I mean, I've got the Era 300 and the 100 downstairs, but all they really do is play the radio and respond to Alexa commands. I don't do much more than that, so I don't tend to go into the app. But I know are you aware of this? There's been a lot of kind of consternation about it.
Oh yeah, no, there were some unhappy people on the Discord. Stupid Fish is he's got a full Sonos setup, and it's just broken basically since this new app has come along.
Wow, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? This has happened before.
Yeah. So the reason I like the look of it is that Sonos stuff generally is quite nice. I mean, okay, so it's mostly plastic, but Sonos stuff, they use a really nice plastic. I don't know what it is. I'm not an expert at plastics, but it's a really nice plastic. Everything they've got, everything they do is really Apple-like, not in terms of the copycat kind of thing, but like the attention to detail. It feels like someone's put some effort in, or many people I imagine have put the effort in. So like in the case there's a magnetic flap. There's a little area in which you can store your cables, and that's got a little magnet. That's always nice to see on a case. I'm trying to think. Well, they're lighter. They're lighter than AirPods Max, 70 grams lighter, which will make a significant difference, because the AirPods Max are heavy headphones, especially if you've had them for a while and the sort of canopy starts to get a bit saggy. What else is there? Well, they support the old head-tracked spatial audio, but crucially, it will detect when you're moving and disable that and flip back to stereo. So if you you're watching a film and you get up to get a drink or whatever, it's not it's quite weird if you've done that before with AirPods Max or AirPods Pro. You're watching some head track spatial audio content, and then you move to a different location. But they've sort of upped the ante a bit by if you're already in the Sonos ecosystem, if you've got like an Arc soundbar, there will be I forget what it's called. I think I put it in the notes. True Cinema. There's a True Cinema. Which will be coming via a software update at a later date. But what that should allow you to do is, so let's say you're watching something using your Sonos, your real Sonos surround system, and you need to switch over to headphones for whatever reason. Using some magic, it sort of will calibrate the surround effect based on the acoustics of your room and where you're sat in the room to make it sound exactly like it would if you were listening to your actual physical Sonos setup, which is bonkers.
Well, in theory, that means it should be the best spatial audio you've ever heard, shouldn't it? Because AirPods Max don't do that, and that spatial audio, as you know, is amazing, isn't it? When you first experience that, it's genuinely incredible, and it remains very impressive for as long as you use it, really. But in theory, like you say, that what they've done with the Ace should be better, shouldn't it? In theory.
So the design looks good. The case is good. It fits in with the ecosystem. They're quite expensive. They're about 450 quid, but that'll come down in time.
That's Sonos price, though, isn't it? That's what you pay that for their stuff.
But Sonos, everything else operates over Wi-Fi, and you get your full, high definition audio. These are, it gets complicated. So if you're if you want to use it for playing music, then you can, or calls or whatever, you can connect it to your devices via Bluetooth, and it's Bluetooth 5.4. I think it supports AAC and aptX adaptive, so it'll get to CD quality or above, but not lossless. It will support lossless if you plug it in. So what's weird is that you can't use them on Wi-Fi, even though everything else on Sonos is Wi-Fi. These are Bluetooth. So although it's got some, they've really thought through some of the integration into your Sonos ecosystem if you have one already. But then you can't just stream music to it via your existing Sonos setup, except when you're using the True Cinema feature, when the surround sound audio signal is beamed to your Sonos headphones over Wi-Fi from the Arc soundbar.
Yeah.
And that is lower fidelity. I think it's like 384 kilobits per second. That's lower quality than the Bluetooth. It's just it's weird. Maybe I'm sure they'll iron it out in time, but just some weird things that I noticed in the specs. I don't know. I imagine you weren't briefed on this at your event.
But not to that detail. I needed you there. That would have been a great question. I asked them a few questions I wasn't sure about, but I didn't think of that. I need to take you along, Rob. We'll get you under the embargo rules. Proper buttons though, no touch controls. That's good. Happy with that. It's really annoying. I have to be so careful about I never really know where the line is drawn between just repeating what Sonos say and then what is technically an opinion. But I think you've pretty much covered them. All of that stuff aside, it is very exciting, isn't it? It's something which we've waited for unknowingly. Actually, I hadn't really thought about Sonos headphones until the rumours started appearing. Then you think. I think we talked about this ages ago, didn't we? That it makes so much sense. And why don't they exist already? So for them to actually do it and bring out what looks like a very, very interesting pair of headphones, we shall find out, is brilliant. I think it's much needed, isn't it? And also, Apple, they don't really care, do they? But it points the finger again at, where's mine? Yeah, the old AirPods Max. When are we going to see a new version of these?
They are looking a bit long in the tooth now, aren't they? There are so many really, really good alternatives. It'll be interesting to see how Apple respond. But
if they respond,
they've got to. How old it's about, well, they're coming up to like 3 years old now, aren't they? The AirPods Max. They've got to do something. But yeah, so you can pre-order the Sonos Ace now, can't you? They ship 5th of June, I think, off the top of my head. And yeah, it remains to be seen how they sound in comparison to the usual suspects, your Sonys and your Bose and all the rest of it. So I'll be interested to hear what you make of the sound, and I'll be interested to hear what you make of the noise cancelling, because this will be their first stab. This will be their first stab at noise cancelling in a very established area, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they keep up or not with the big boys.
I don't envy Sonos with this, because it's a big job. I think that these have got to be good, haven't they? They can't really fail in any of the areas, but there's so many potential points of failure and weird decisions they could make, and yeah, there's a lot. Is there a lot riding on this? Maybe not. Although it would damage the brand, wouldn't it? If they were terrible, for instance, that wouldn't be great. But yeah, we'll see. My review will come slightly before that release, which is quite nice. So are you tempted? If they are good, are you tempted to buy a pair?
No, not in the slightest. Well, first of all, I just spent like £1,700 on a tablet. Second, I've got my Bang & Olufsen H95s, which I still love. I use them every day.
I believe you even less. I believe you even less when you say that you're definitely not going to get something, because I can guarantee that 2 weeks after you'll get them on some crazy deal.
I've got so many headphones now, and given that it's not my job to have so many headphones, I can't. I don't need any more headphones. If Apple released an AirPods Pro 3 or 4, I guess technically, because there was the AirPods Pro 2 USB, wasn't there? Which is, you could kind of say is the AirPods Pro. Yeah, if they come out with a new AirPods Pro, I could justify that. But in terms of over-the-ear headphones, I'm sticking with my H95s. I saw a ridiculous deal on some Focal Batties, but yeah, I resisted the edge. Do you know what? I saw a ludicrous deal on the Bowes and Wilkins
PX
McLaren edition.
Ooh, how much?
They're about, because they're about like £700 or something, and I think these
something
were
ridiculous,
like sub 500. Just still, it's too much money to spend on headphones. And yeah, but I was like, no, because they're kind of at the same level. You've got your H95s, you got your PX8s, you've got your Focal Battery. They're all much of a muchness, I think, and I'm quite happy with my H95s. I can't see myself buying another set of headphones for a very long time.
Yeah, but look at them. And you technically have a McLaren.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about headphones. Some other exciting stuff has happened this week. So did you pay attention? Well, probably not if you were in a hut, but have you paid any attention whatsoever to Google I/O this year, or the Microsoft special event?
I watched The Verge's 12-minute recap in where was it? Dusseldorf Airport very quickly before the flight, and it's just loads of AI stuff, isn't it? Very impressive. I like the thing they did with those glasses, which weren't Google Glass. That was very impressive. With that woman was walking around with the phone and saying, "What is that?" and tell me something about this. That was impressive. It all shot in one take, wasn't it? And yeah, it's. What do you think?
You've ruined my narrative there. So
sorry.
I had a whole thing laid out where I was going to lead us up to that, but everything else is bollocks, really. The Project Astra demonstration. So that video where the woman started off on her phone saying, "Oh, what am I looking at?" Asking to solve problems, and it was all very clever AI stuff. But then the big reveal was she just then casually said, "Oh, hey, where are my glasses? Where did I leave my glasses?" And it was able to tell her, "Oh, you left it over there." So this Project Astra was a demonstration of an AI that just sort of remembers stuff, and sees everything and can just help you out in those sort of situations. And yeah, they did show a prototype, or it may not exist at all, even in prototype form, but they did sort of tease the notion of a set of specs with a heads-up display that had some sort of magic AI built into it. And yeah, that was the coolest demonstration of AI that we saw across both of those presentations, which were otherwise pretty dull.
Who was the guy at the start with who was DJing / running around the stage?
Oh, Mark Rabier.
I don't know who that is. I've not even heard. All I've seen of it is just the footage of it without the audio. This guy running around, and then people getting annoyed by it, and then some people saying, "If you don't understand what this is all about, you're not cultured," and all this sort. So I've got no idea who this guy is.
I must have talked about Mark Rabier on here before. I may even have linked to him as one of the, our silly thing. No. Mark Rabier is a fantastic loop artist. He just came out.
Oh, he does loops.
Well, in actual fact, So he's a loop. Well, I think he calls himself the loop daddy.
Loopist.
In actual fact,
The loop daddy.
But he's very, very good. And before he was like famous and stuff, so he started off just doing sort of streams and sort of low key YouTubes and whatever. But now he's a proper touring artist and gets booked to do corporate gigs and stuff. But super talented guy. But what people might not know about him is that he was one of the first people to buy the first iPhone in the States. So he was pictured sitting in a chair outside an Apple store waiting for it to open. So there was footage of him as a teenager sitting outside an Apple store getting one of the first Apple phones, one of the first iPhones upon release. But anyway, if you haven't heard of Mark Rabier, well, evidently you have now because you are aware of him through Google I/O. Yeah, check him out.
I will. I'll put the sound on next time. I just kept watching him like dance around and stuff, and thought that's typical kind of Google I/O opening. But forgot to go back and listen to it. But if he does loop, I love loopists. Well, there must be a better name for them than that. Loop-offinist. I don't know. But whatever these. Anyone who works with loops, I'm interested. So that's good. God, have we gone off topic here? No, we haven't, have we? So that's everything to do with Google. We didn't talk about the ridiculous BMW, did we? We did briefly at the start of this conversation, but is there anything you want to know about the i5 M60?
I lost connectivity there for about 15 seconds. So
you did go very quiet. What was the last thing you heard?
So the last thing we were talking about Mark Rabier.
Okay, we'll move on to the next.
Who's like a sleazy Ned Flanders.
There's your show title. The other thing on the list here that we haven't covered properly is the ridiculous BMW review unit.
Well, we did sort of talk about it earlier. Yeah. So you went and took it to a hut on a hill.
Yeah.
And then it rained, and then you came home again.
I came home again.
Yeah.
I've been driving it around for a week, though, to be fair.
Yeah. You tempted?
No, not at all. No. It's a lovely thing, obviously.
Well,
but
you say that, but you did get another ridiculous BMW valued recently, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It's moved on a bit since then.
Oh yeah. What's happened?
I have bought a new car, which I pick up on Saturday. Can you guess? We should do a cliffhanger with this. How many clues can I give you? I'll give you a couple of clues. So, because I didn't know what to do with this car, because it's, where do you go from an M2 that you don't really need anyway? So I thought, what I need is something that satisfies the petrol head in me, something that I won't worry about all the time like I do with the M2. Something that is also practical. You can chuck the kid in it. You can chuck loads of stuff in it if you need to. Something that's very comfortable. Something that looks good. Something with lots and lots of toys. Because that's the one thing I missed in the M2. As much as I love that car, it doesn't have a huge amount of toys. Doesn't have CarPlay or Android Auto. Loads of toys.
Or a slip differential.
Well, yeah, exactly. Any ideas off the bat what I might have gone for? It's really what I've gone for is what? Sorry,
X5.
No, not an X5. It's risky what I've gone for.
Okay.
Reputationally, for both for me and for the car itself. I might leave it on a cliffhanger until I actually have it.
All right. So
it's a bit of a last minute decision, to be fair. You got any ideas what it might be? Something that ticks all those boxes.
well, I put forward my guess. I a sort of, a reasonably high-end
X5
SUV form factor BMW, kitted out with lots of toys.
Yeah,
yes,
it's not an
not
X5.
No,
Not BMW.
yeah, it's not.
I'll leave it. It's not a BMW. No.
Hang on. Right. Okay. You've weirded me out now. So you took it to BMW to get valued because
Yes.
they were inviting you to some sort of like invite-only sales event, and then didn't buy.
I went somewhere else.
You went somewhere else. Okay.
Well, to give you another clue, I went somewhere else that was in the same. It was owned by the same group dealership.
Oh right. You've got a. Are you a countryman?
A country? Am I a countryman? No.
No. Okay.
That was a great guess, though. Actually, in fairness, have I thrown you off a bit with that? It's not the brand. It's you get dealership groups like Lookers and all those sort of. It's one of the. It's not Lookers, but it's one of those that owns several different branded dealerships. So they own BMW dealerships and a few others. It's one of the others that I went to in Coventry, if anyone cares.
Interesting. All right. Well, we'll hear more about that next time.
You might call me an idiot for going for it, but we'll see when it arrives.
Okay.
It's either going to be the making or breaking of me. Possibly the latter.
Interesting. Yeah. So
keep thinking.
Okay,
yeah.
Oh, well, anyway, but on the so Google I/O Microsoft event, pretty dull, except for the Snapdragon X, which is quite exciting. It's been on our list to talk about for ages, but it's looking like this is Windows Apple Silicon moment, because it's an ARM-based processor, so you've got all of the power, massively energy efficient, all modern and up to date. All the big players are getting involved, probably because they've already done the work already, from having to do this for Mac, but like your Photoshops, your Lightrooms, your DaVinci Resolves, all ARM native on Windows, and they've released some really quite attractive devices. There's a new Surface Pro with this Snapdragon X ARM processor in it, and a Surface laptop that they claim is faster than an M3 MacBook Air, which I'm sure it is in select benchmarks. Whether or not it can maintain that over the same amount of time, which again, actually, they claim that it's got a longer battery life than the M3 as well. So we'll see. I'm not going to get one, obviously, but maybe you will at some point. So that was quite interesting. But yeah, it was really a battle of the AIs, wasn't it? So your Google Geminis versus your GPT-4os. The Project Astra demonstration with the Google sort of glasses, very impressive. Actually, while we're here, have you had a play with your Meta Ray-Bans since we last talked about them?
Not since the update. I have, but only to film stuff. So I've not. I'll be completely honest. I haven't really dug into the other stuff they can do. I need to.
Yeah. So the most interesting thing about Google I/O was the fact that they used AI to count the number of times AI was mentioned during the keynote, which is okay, fair play. That made me chuckle. It was the only thing that I was even remotely amused by during the whole thing, to be honest. So yeah, I mean,
I liked how he added one at the end as well. When he said it again, it clocked over to
And then on the Microsoft side, there was the demonstration of Recall. Did you see the Microsoft special event? Okay.
I don't think I've ever watched a Microsoft special event ever.
Okay, right. So they demonstrated a feature called Recall, which is a sort of AI that will be running on your Windows PC that will watch everything you do, similar to the Google Glasses, but sort of on your computer, such that everything you touch, everything you interact with, you can then recall later via an AI search. So a conversation you've had with someone, an email you've read, a picture you've seen, and it will just take you to wherever it was that you saw that thing if you don't already know where it is. So, can you tell me about that article I was reading because I can't find it? And then it'll go, which is, obviously massive privacy concerns. So much so that it might actually be illegal in the UK. So the ICO are investigating it.
Brilliant.
But that's a pretty cool use of AI, scary as it is, for both with the googly glasses and this recall feature. But those were the two sort of standout things. But they're both companies are battling it out on more or less the same kind of key areas, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
The most interesting thing I've seen about AI recently is Udio. You familiar with Udio?
I'm not. No. This sounds interesting.
So Udio is AI for audio, and you can feed it a prompt, and it will come back with a fully produced, with computer-generated lyrics, instrumentation, vocals in a perfectly mixed format. It'll just make your song, make you some music.
Okay.
So I gave it the prompt. I asked it.
You got some music for us?
Well, I don't know if it will play. We'll see. But I guess I'll have to send Richard the sample if it doesn't. So we'll see if it plays through this. So I asked it to write an 80's, rock song about my balls and the fact that I can't write lyrics. And this is what it came back with.
Oh, can we not hear it? I can't hear it.
Is that not coming through?
We'll have to add it. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll add it at the end. So, Richard, while you're editing this, please, Rob will send you the file. Let's finish on that. I'll listen to it when it's put on the end.
I'll upload it to the Notion. Although it's just sad that
My worry, Rob, is that it sounds like a song that someone might have written already.
It's
like, Fleetwood Mac or someone,
No, it's very Steel Panther. It's very Steel Panther. So yeah. So anyway, wait. That's the most fun I've had with AI for a while. But who isn't having fun with AI?
Oh yeah, it's getting worse for them, isn't it? Bless them. Humane.
Yeah. So
I didn't know they'd been put up for sale.
Well, I don't know that it's definite yet, but there's certain Bloomberg are reporting that they're certainly thinking about putting themselves up for sale. So yeah.
I wonder if that, to be really cynical, is it cynical? Maybe not cynical, but just pontificating on that. I wonder if that was their plan all along. Not to get bad publicity, but to get a fairly quick sale. And if this has sped things up, although what's it worth now?
Well, they seem to think they're worth $1 billion, but
not convinced. Okay. Your demo's come up. Shall I try and play your demo now?
If you like. I don't know if you can route it through so that the folks watching at home.
Oh, here we go. Can you hear this?
One of these balls is not like the other. One of these balls just isn't the same.
So the voice.
Yeah.
Did you give it any prompt for that, or has it just picked that as the vocal?
It's just picked that as the vocal.
Okay.
My scrotum is lopsided. I am not good at lyrics.
That might be one of the best things I've ever heard. That might go straight onto my headphone test playlist.
Yeah, that's what it came
Wow.
back. So it produced a 30-second sample, and if you like it, then you can get it to write some more, or you can update your prompt and change it in some way. But yeah, so anyway, the reason I wanted to share that was because that's so much more fun than anything that was shown at either Google I/O or the Microsoft special events. So
It does make me feel a little bit better. Just having heard that feels like we're quite a way away from Terminator 2. To be fair, if T2 came in singing that, then it could have me for breakfast. I don't care. What a way to go. What a soundtrack to die to. Wow. I don't know where to go after that, Rob. That feels like we should just end there.
yeah, I don't think
Is that how long it is? Because it's, 30 seconds?
30 seconds, yeah. So it produces 30 seconds, and then you can say, oh, I like that. Do me, 3 minutes or whatever, so you can extend it.
Which actually is quite smart, because I don't know if it's still the case, but I know on radio it used to be that if you play more than 20 seconds of a song, that's when the royalties kick in. So you've gone over by 10 seconds. So when this hits Radio 2, you're going to be a millionaire, obviously. Wow, where do we go from here? That was amazing.
It's only downhill for me. I mean, I've got a little bit of news. Might as well get it out of the way. So I've just got a public service announcement that Little Snitch version 6 just came out this week, which I use and enjoy. I have used for 15 years or something. And for those not familiar with Little Snitch, it's a bit like what's it called on Windows? There's a thing called like Glass Wire or something. But this has been around longer. But it's kind of it's like a network monitoring / firewall kind of tool. So it will trap inbound and outbound connections from applications running on your Mac, and you can choose whether or not you want to allow those connections. And you'd be surprised when you get a new app and you fire it up, Little Snitch will step in and go, hey, it's trying to connect to this and this and this and this and this, just all of the stuff. And most of it isn't necessary. There's a lot of telemetry and a lot of apps, but it basically gives you control over, what data is coming into and going out of your machine. It's a roll your own firewall, basically. It's not for the faint-hearted, because
it doesn't sound like it.
You do need to configure everything. But if that is, if you're concerned about privacy and you're concerned about what is coming into and what is going out of your Mac, I think there's a trial. Give it a go. Version 6 has just been released. It's brilliant. I've used it for years. But I mean, the only news for me really is that my my Clicks keyboard is on the way. And
exciting.
Mr. Fisher invited me to an event as a backer.
Tomorrow?
No, it's tonight.
Tomorrow night. Tonight. It was tonight. Sorry.
So I could be schmoozing with Mr. Mobile, but I opted to do this instead. I said, "No, sorry, Mike, I'm busy, mate."
He'll be listening, obviously. You would have potentially met Niall. He was supposed to be going, but he's unwell. Bless him. Hope get better soon, Niall. He was going to go down because I couldn't make it either, because obviously 8 or 16 is far more important. But that would have been nice. Yeah, we should have just cancelled this, and you could have gone down, and if Niall was better, you could have met him. That'd been great.
I've met Niall.
Of course, you've met Niall. You came to the Christmas do, didn't you? Sorry. Yeah. Well, it's been a long couple of days.
So that's finally on the way. There's been no update as to the whereabouts of my Rabbit R1, but I don't really care anymore because it's rubbish.
No one cares.
But it's be a fun thing to sort of have knocking around, look good next to the play date. But I'm kind of in the position where I'm just buying crap because like that stuff that I really want isn't materializing. So we're going to wait for WWDC to see what happens, whether or not they show us something that really unleashes the power of M4 and iPad Pro. Hopefully they'll show us a Siri that isn't useless, especially based on what Microsoft and Google have been showing with the advancements in Copilot and Gemini. I want a HomePod with a display. It's not too much to ask for, is it?
No, I agree.
AirTags are due an update, and I want to be able to use those as beacons. So it's one thing having geolocation. So I've got a bunch of personal automations running where, when I arrive at or leave certain locations, it makes stuff happen via shortcuts. I want to be able to do that within my house. I want to, when I go into a particular room, and I want to be able to tell reminders, remind me when I'm next in the utility room to do whatever. I don't know why they don't allow you to do that. That'd be a much more useful thing to do with AirTags, in my opinion. I want a facelifted Mac Mini. So I do and I don't, because obviously I just bought this M2 Pro, which is more computing power than I'm going to need for a very long time. But if they do release something that is, fun and new and shrunk, I would be very interested in that. Waiting for the UK launch of Vision Pro. Not that I'm going to buy one, but I would like to nip down to an Apple store and give one a go. And I know, people will be like, you always say you're not going to buy things, and then you do. I'm definitely not buying a Vision Pro. That's way too expensive.
You're always welcome here, Rob, if you want to come and have a play with it.
Oh yeah, you've got one, haven't I? Yeah. I should just come up and have a go on yours.
Where is it? In the drawer. No, it's at home. I promise. It's occasionally used.
What else am I waiting for? An OLED ultra wide that's 2160p, because I can't go back to 1440p or lower now. I've got to have the 2160p. Not at all unhappy with this display, but if I could get an OLED one, I'd be very interested in that. I vaguely flirted with that new Dell. Have you seen the new Dell with the 120 hertz?
I've heard about it, not seen it, but
so there's an ultra wide Dell that's got 120 hertz refresh rate, but I'm not going to upgrade for 120 hertz. That's not enough. I'm very eagerly waiting for the 10th anniversary Apple Watch that's rumoured.
Yeah.
So, because
that'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
I resisted the edge. I saw that Apple Watch Ultra that was about 400 quid in the Amazon warehouse sale. I was like, I don't really need that. And what I really want is this rumoured, surely they're going to do something spectacular for the 10th anniversary Apple Watch. So I'm going to wait there. So I'm looking forward to that later in the year. And just as a not very exciting thing, Magic OS 8 still isn't out for my Magic V2.
It's on the way, though, isn't it?
They keep saying it's on the way. They keep saying it's on the way. But what's really annoying, is that they have released a developer beta for Android 15 that you can install on it, but it hasn't even got Android 14 yet.
Okay.
So by the time that by the time they release, formally release Magic OS, which is based on Android, when they formally release that, everyone else is already on the next. The next version of Android will be out. So that's the downside of straying outside of your mainstream Android devices. Yeah. I think if you're not, while your Honors and your Huawei's and your other manufacturers, they do some really interesting and fun stuff, but the support just it's not there. My experience with the Magic V2 has been marred by the fact that I'm stuck on last year's OS. It's rubbish.
Yeah. It's not fair, is it? Not for that much money.
So so that's all the news. Oh, is that all the news for me? I got an Ergotron HX arm for this display. So I've got this stupid 40-inch display, and so to do this podcast, I've got this convoluted set of pulleys and levers into which a camera is attached. So I've got an arm that's clamped to the desk, and then a vertical pole, and then some other twisty gubbins. And I'm like, it's a bit of a faff, because to give the illusion that I'm looking at, because I'm not looking into the camera at all. I'm looking sort of in the general area of the display. So it's sitting in front of my screen. But I thought, what if I just mount it in a fixed position and then get a bendy arm for my display, so that I can just pull the display down and out. So I pull the display.
Nice.
There we go. So I'd pull the display down so that it's sitting below here, and then the camera is always there. And it would also have the benefit of being further back, because it's sort of right up in my face at the moment, and I try to frame it as best as I can. But yeah, the camera needs to be further away from me to produce, so that I'm similar sort of appearance to yourself, because there's quite jarring difference between our.
There is, isn't there? Yeah.
So I want to try and fix that. But yeah, no, that's it. I've really got nothing exciting to tell you about, I'm afraid. I certainly haven't been driving a £100,000 EV. I haven't been rained on in a hut.
Count yourself lucky on both fronts. I think there's only one way to end this podcast today, really, Rob, which we'll say goodbye, and then we'll just serenade ourselves with a song about your balls. Obviously, we're talking about tennis balls here, just to make this a family-friendly show. Rob's tennis balls, that's what he's singing about here. So thank you, Rob, and thank you for this absolute masterpiece.
All right. See ya.
One of these balls is not like the other.